A quad camera setup, a decent Snapdragon 665 processor, and a huge 5000 mAh battery. That too on a budget phone. Yes, I am talking about the new Realme 5. So is this the new benchmark for budget segment? We are going to find that out in this review. Let's get started with the design, and as you can see, you get nothing so new. It comes with a plastic frame, a plastic back with a crystalline pattern, which has made the device somewhat more appealing. And Realme has made design tweaks to differentiate the Pro model with this one. The subtle rainbow sheen on the 5 Pro, which you can see while tilting the phone at some angles, is missing on the Realme 5. Not a deal breaker, I guess, but there's that. The deal breaker is it does not feel the same on the hands. The phone feels quite hefty in terms of size and weight. But the horrifying part is it feels hollow, due to which it feels genuinely cheap on the hands. You can also hear some creaks, especially while pressing gently on the area near fingerprint and the camera. So the build quality here is questionable. You would definitely have to buy a good case. Also, one more thing, Realme says that they have included something called Humidity Protection on the phone. So openings of the phone like near the SIM tray or the battery area or other gaps of the phone are said to be tightly sealed with O-rings and rubber gaskets. It's nothing like IP ratings, but it should survive a few splashes, I guess. Talking about the display, the phone packs a 6.5-inch LCD panel with a waterdrop style notch on the top, which Realme calls a mini drop notch. The waterdrop notch is in itself a mini version of the notch, and a mini drop notch, well, this reminds me of a hilarious scene from The Office.
Well then, why don't we just get some liquor and those mini cupcakes?
Mini cupcakes? As in the mini version of regular cupcakes, which is already a mini version of cake? Honestly, where does it end with you people?
Jokes aside, Realme claims a screen-to-body ratio of 89%. So as cued by the screen-to-body ratio, the chin and the notch does not look as obtrusive. Adding to the niceties, you get Corning Gorilla Glass 3 Plus protection on the top. The display, however, features an HD resolution. Because of the HD panel, the display does not look as sharp, but you won't find any pixelation either. The colors also look good on the screen and you won't find any sort of oversaturation. But I found the brightness to be rather dim, and hence sunlight legibility is not very good. Now, the Realme 5 is also the first budget phone to pack a quad camera at the rear panel. The rear camera module comprises of a 12 megapixel main camera followed by an 8 megapixel ultra wide angle camera, 2 megapixel depth sensor, and a 2 megapixel macro lens. With so many cameras on board, I had a lot of expectations from the cameras of this device, but on use, I found the cameras to be kind of a mixed bag. First, let's start with the primary camera. At daylight, the 12 megapixel shooter does a good job in terms of colors and saturation. The images look slightly overexposed at times, but there was nothing so worrying. However, I didn't find the images to be particularly sharp, and the dynamic range wasn't so impressive either. In low light, the phone suffers quite a lot like any budget phone would. But with its nightscape mode, you get in more light, images look sharper, and they look significantly better than that of the normal mode. You can check these samples and judge it all by yourself. Although the images from the nightscape look good, I noticed a slight crop in the frame, so there's that. With the wide-angle camera, you won't notice any sort of color shifting issues, but the images tend to look overexposed at times. But again, having a wide-angle lens at this price is a bonus. Now let's talk about the 2 megapixel depth sensor. Although the resolution of the depth sensor does not sound much, I really liked its performance while capturing portrait images. Blurs look natural and edge detection was impressive most of the times. However, the colors and details look softer than from the normal images. And the fourth lens, the macro lens, was something I was very excited to test out. The macro lens does let you go very close to the subject and lets you capture really tiny object that gets lost while capturing from the main camera. And Realme says you get the best results while capturing the subject from a 4 cm distance. But even when I maintained that distance, I never really got a good shot. And that's because of the sensor. The macro lens is a 2 megapixel sensor, so despite its capability to capture macro shots, the shots don't look that impressive as they lack details. So I found the macro lens to be rather gimmicky. Most of the times you get better shots by zooming in slightly into the subject. And talking about the zoom, unlike the Realme X where you can go up to 2 times, here you can perform zooming up to 5 times. Since the zooming on the phone is entirely digital, you will start to lose details while zooming. Flipping to the front, you get a 13 megapixel selfie shooter tucked neatly in the notch. And I must say, selfies look good. You get enough details with good colors. You won't find any sort of overprocessing going on over there. So I was satisfied with its performance. Even the portrait selfies are good, but with software, the edge detection does not look perfect. But still, it is usable almost all the times. When it comes to videos, you can capture 720p, 1080p and 4K videos all at 30 fps. Although there is no image stabilization in here, you will get quite stabilized 720p and 1080p videos. Colors and sharpness also look good considering the phone's price. Now let's talk performance. Memory-wise, you get 3 options: 3 plus 32GB, 4 plus 64GB and 4 plus 128GB. But unlike the Realme 5 Pro, you don't get UFS storage in here, so no ultra-fast read and write speeds. You do get a dedicated SD card slot, so you can expand the memory up to 256GB. For chipset, the phone packs Snapdragon 665, which is a decent upgrade over the Realme 3 and even the Realme 2 Pro. And you can easily see that on the benchmarks. With a better processor on board, you can expect a boost in performance. The phone is now quite smooth and you can multitask with a number of apps without any hiccups. Even on the gaming part, you can expect similar kind of fluidity. And that's more so while playing light games. But that does not mean the device cannot run high-end games. You can still play PUBG Mobile very smoothly, but that happens only at low settings. While playing the game at high settings, you can notice some stutters. Given the budget-friendly nature of the phone, I think that's understandable. Onto the software front, there's Android 9 Pie with the latest ColorOS 6.0.1. It has received a few refinements over the ColorOS 6 found on the Realme X, but like I say in every Realme review, it's definitely not the best UI. And the number of bloatware haven't gotten any less. But since most of these apps can be uninstalled, this is not a big issue. The phone has wideband L3 protection, so this means that you cannot stream Netflix and Amazon Prime in HD. So if the company could provide the L1 certification through an update, that would be great. Because this one houses a 5000 mAh battery, and coupled with a low-res HD display, the battery life is just awesome. I think this is the phone with the best battery life that I have tested till date. But I've heard some rumors that Samsung is launching the Galaxy M30s with a huge 6000 mAh battery, so that is going to be an interesting device as well. But Realme software and battery optimizations is really impressive here. The phone easily lasts more than 2 days on normal use. The phone barely spends any battery juice when it's on standby, and I find that genuinely impressive. When it comes to charging, you get a 10-watt charger inside the box, and it takes around 3.5 hours to get the device fully charged, and that's quite a lot. I also tried charging it with a 20-watt Whoop charger that came with the Realme 5 Pro, but that did not speed up the charging process. So even if you use a fast charger, you're not going to get any kind of acceleration in the charging speeds, so you will have to deal with that. As for extras, you get a rear-mounted fingerprint sensor, which is fast, accurate, and reliable. The face unlock is also quite fast, but since it's software-based, it's obviously not that reliable. The output from the headphone jack and the speakers are unimpressive as expected on a budget phone. So what do I make of the Realme 5? Well, you may find me finicky, but I am not particularly impressed with the build quality of the phone. Also, the presence of an HD display is not very impressive, and the 2 megapixel macro lens is nothing more than a gimmick. But such trade-offs are found on all budget phones, right? But looking at the brighter side, you get a very capable processor, a huge battery, and various options on the camera front. So for some $150, you get a good package overall with the Realme 5. If you want a more premium build and a more sharper display, you can go with the Redmi Note 7 or the Redmi Note 7S. Otherwise, you cannot go wrong with the Realme 5. So that was our review of the Realme 5. Do let us know in the comment section below what do you think of the device. Till then, I'm Pratima Adhikari and thank you for watching.